What's good, YouTube? Hope you guys are having a fantastic evening. Welcome back to the Brown Gent. In today's video, we're going to talk about Zomedica's latest news. But quick plug before we get started, like the video, share the video, subscribe to the channel, follow me on all the tech you see above. And without ado, this is not financial advice, so do your own research. So we're talking about Zomedica today, our favorite pet healthcare company, and they came out with quite a banger. You can probably see it as I loaded the screen. We are up significantly today. Zomedica is up almost 20%, and you don't get those kind of moves, especially given what we've seen from Zomedica in the last few months. We are literally knocking on the doors of 20 cents. In fact, after hours, we finally got there. The last day, it's up around 20%. Over the last week, it's up about 16%. Over the last month, it's up 13%. Over the last 6 months, it's actually down 3%. And year to date, we are sitting around 20%. Really, this move got us back to where we want to be. So what exactly happened? Well, to find that out, you should always go to investors.zomedica.com. If you haven't done that already, go type that in your browser and bookmark it and check it out, or you can subscribe to their notifications. They'll let you know when there's an update for you, and you can sort of be the first person to sort of be able to act on those news. But let's be honest here, the news happens so fast that you'll probably notice a huge spike in Zomedica by the time you see it either way. So what happened? Well, today they announced that they were expanding their Trueforma offering with 3 more assays. So they're getting into canine GI diseases. And one of the things before I go into this is you have to remember Zomedica is made up of a couple things, right? So Zomedica, going back here, pet healthcare company, they have their Zomedica diagnostics. It's kind of an updated website. And if you go there, they have Truforma, which is sort of the device platform that we've known to love, and really this was what the entire company was based off. And since then, they've acquired other companies. TrueView and VetGuardian follow in their diagnostic platform, but on top of that, they also have PulseVet and Assisi Health. So this is a sort of all these different pillars and verticals for them to create revenue. The reality is the biggest opportunity is Trueforma, their diagnostic system, because this diagnostic system will be able to do the tests at a fraction of the time and a fraction of the costs for the end users, really incentivizing vets instead of outsourcing these procedures, they can do it internally. And by doing it internally, they save a ton of money and they can make a bunch of money themselves while passing on the savings to their customers. So they'll get more repeat visits. The way Trueforma works is it uses the razor blade model. So you sell the razor once, and then you keep getting them selling, or you keep selling them blades. They refill the blades every so often, and you make recurring revenue. So it's not just a sort of one-time purchase. The goal here is you sell Trueforma one time. Maybe you sell multiple Trueformas to a vet clinic, because if they're running a ton of tests. And then on top of that, you sell them the cartridges. And I don't know if I'm sort of aging myself, but I grew up with a Super Nintendo here. And you better believe that the Super Nintendo only had Super Mario Brothers, it wouldn't have done as well as it ended up doing. With all of these sort of platforms, you want as much variety as possible. So the more games they added, whether it was Kirby, Super Mario Brothers, Super Mario Kart, I think it was like Star Fox, all these games, right? Like Punch Out. I'm sure there's hundreds and hundreds of games. It made buying an SNES or Super Nintendo worth it. Well, Trueforma has added 3 more assays to the mix. In this case, what their CEO, Larry Heaton, said was that some of the most common patients that a vet sees are dogs that are presenting with non-infectious GI disease signs, so like vomiting and diarrhea. These sort of things need a quick diagnosis, And now they're going to provide 3 common assays to sort of diagnose these cases: canine pancreatic lipase, cobalamin, and folate. And this will help diagnose if there's pancreatitis or irritable bowel disease. Now, these assays are going to continue to help create the suite of diagnostic tools to help the vet and help that pet get better, right? Because that's the end of the day. We want to transform pet medicine. And that's really what Zomedica believes. Now, what's really cool here is you probably remember they acquired Qorvo Biotechnologies and brought them into the fold probably a few months ago. So they don't have to pay any royalties. This is now a cost of doing business. It's within their own house. And now they're able to turn these over so fast and not have to pay royalties. So what's really cool about all of these things is the CPL, or the canine pancreatic lipase assay, is already available and is shipping now from Zomedica. And the other cobalamin and folate cartridges will be available right before Christmas, just in a few short days. So once again, this is going to add that recurring stream of revenue. Now, as you guys know, Truforma really didn't take off. They have a sort of customer appreciation program, and the goal here is to get people to try it before you buy it, but also just to get them using the cartridges. And eventually they will have critical mass. One, either people believe in Truforma, or there's so many tests and this is such a comprehensive tool that it makes it a no-brainer to have in the clinic. Until then, the rest of Zomedica will be sort of shouldering the cost. Now, another thing as well is they're continuing to build out the rest of their pipeline. So this is where they're looking at presenting some new data that supports some new indications for their PulseVet shockwave therapy. As you know, PulseVet has really the revenue driver currently at Zomedica, and this is all about sort of horse treatment and horse diagnostics and therapeutics. Once again, all positive news. This was about a week ago, but wasn't around, couldn't make a video, so just covering it now. And if we take a look over here, remember, I always show you guys these charts. Look at those lines. It's so funny how I drew these lines so long ago, and they continue to sit there. And you can see here, we tested 15.6 cents, went all the way up to 31 cents, came back down here, slightly dipped, came back above. We came back, we kept testing this, and we are breaking above that 19 cents line. A lot of people are sending me some DMs, posting on the videos, wondering about a reverse stock split because they were afraid that Zomedica would fall out of compliance with the New York or NYSE American Exchange. They need to be over 20 cents for 10 days consecutively to avoid that. And they've got they have 6 months more, and then, they have 3 months more and then a potential extension of 6 months. So we're not even close. But I was buying over here, like I told you guys, and we're out of my buy zone and we're getting close to my sell zone. So I'm going to be able to take some profits on the shares that I bought here. Not a substantial amount of money, but this is why I always tell you guys, if you're not willing to buy on dips, it means that you're over invested. And the next time you get an opportunity to take some money off the table, preferably at a profit, I would recommend, or I would ask yourself if you want to do that. Remember, I'm not a financial advisor. I can't give you financial advice. One of the other things I want to highlight here is we are also in a better frame of mind for all assets, because as we've seen with the inflation data, the CPI, and sort of what we've heard from the Fed and Jerome Powell, pretty much we're super close to having inflation behind us. People are expecting brighter days ahead, and that is actually reflected. I don't know if you've checked this out, but if you check the broader stock exchanges, if you check the SPY or the S&P 500, we are pretty much where we were at the all-time high before the stock market correction or crash that happened at the end of 2021, going from 475 to 480 all the way down to 360, a 25% drop. And since then, we've gained 30%, and we are literally knocking on the door of all-time highs. Also for the NASDAQ, which is more tech focused, you can see we went from 404 all the way down 33% to 266, and we've gained 50%. When do you gain 50% on an index fund, right? So if you invested the end of last year to now, you're up 50% on your investment. This is why you've always got to remember, there are tons of opportunities. Remember, it's not just about the speculative bets. Zomedica is a speculative bet. It's a startup company, but you should always make sure the majority of your portfolio is in the most safest assets and the better opportunities, right? Like, I hope you guys would at least consider buying some SPY or some NASDAQ, not now, obviously, but when they had dipped. And I hope this is a learning for future as well. One last thing maybe we'll cover here is I always love to check out stock twits, and because Zomedica is doing really well today, I'm not surprised to see a ton of positive comments. You get like Zom definition of bullishness, Zom bullish, Zom let's go, right? Let it run, let it run, let it run. Zom only 1.02% away from regaining compliance. Yeah, exactly. Need to trade above 20 cents for 10 consecutive days and we're good. Solid close. Not sure what 19.79 is. I think they mean cents. Small wave, but worth it. Let's go. Some people are talking about holding bags. Some people are re-emphasizing the reason we bought in, which is they got some really cool products and they can change the entire vet space. People are super happy about what's going on. And something that I have been thinking about for a long time is they could be setting themselves up to be bought out, or at least divest some of their assets to a bigger company like IDEX and sort of focus on fewer things. That would be one way to, one, make the shareholders happy, but also alleviate a ton of the debt and get their sort of runway going. One of the, I don't want to say biggest flaws with Zomedica is they don't have as much cash on their runway because of all the acquisition, despite all the share dilutions they've done. So I'm constantly watching that with every earnings call to make sure that I'm not going to put too much money into Zomedica and not taking profits when there might be a potential share dilution on the way. We're still not close to it. I think they got like $100 million in cash left or cash equivalents. I don't remember offhand, but actually, you know what? Might as well do it on here right now. So let's check it out. Let's check out their Q3 in 2023. We'll scroll down here and see how much money they had. Yeah, they had $118 million. So they got somewhat of a runway, but it's not huge. Remember, the year before, they had 158. So they lost 40 million. Some of it was net losses and burning capital, cash burn, running operations. And some of it was investing and sort of building out their business portfolio and pipeline, right? It takes a lot of money to run a profitable business eventually. Remember, Tesla was not profitable for a long, long time. And now when you think about this company, you can't even remember when it wasn't. So I hope that sort of gives you some insight as to what's going on with Zomedica. As a reminder, it's one of 3 companies that I invest in my speculative portfolio. I don't recommend that you have too much of your portfolio in speculative assets. You want the core of your portfolio to be stable, solid gainers, and then you want some mooners. So in this case, like the reason I bought Zomedica was I thought it could 20x or 30 or 50x when I first got it. I still think there's a ton of potential, more than some other type of stocks out there. I don't expect Tesla to 5x in the next year. Zomedica could do that. And that's sort of why it sort of has a different allocation, a much smaller allocation, of course, but something to consider. And always remember why you bought something and why you're still in it. As a reminder, if you haven't already, like the video, share the video, subscribe to the channel. And until next time, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.